Okay, this is a video of COVID related data for the southwestern states of Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas to show trends of where the virus is heading in those four states. This will be data through the date October 19th, 2020. Previous regions I was able to record and upload as of October 17th, 2020. This one I never got around to, so I'm doing it a couple days later. Now let's take a look at Arizona. Population of about 7 million people. It's similar to Washington and Tennessee. They have not had any record case or death dates recently, at least not in the past 3 months, roughly. We look at their case, death, tests, positive test rate, and death rate over the last 30 days, 31, 60, and 61 to 90 days. You can see the number of cases has dropped tremendously from where they were in the summer. Their deaths have also gone down remarkably. They're testing lower than what it was back in the summer, but that's probably because they had so many cases, had such spread that they did more testing at that point. Their positive test rate is down to less than half of what it was 60 to 90 days ago, and their death rate is down significantly as well. So those are all good factors for the state of Arizona. Let's take a look at their 14-day trailing average positive test rate. You can see that back in July, they were well over 20%. Arizona was one of the worst places in the country during the middle of the summer. And it's dropped precipitously to where at the end of August, they were down around 6 to 7%. They've never really gotten below 5%. And now since about October 5th, they've started to trend upwards, which is a little bit worrisome. That's something we're going to have to watch. We look at their 90-day case rates. We can see how the case has dropped to around the R1 level and slightly below. They had a number of days between late August, late September, early October even, where they were below the R1 level. But recently, since about October 6th, we've seen those numbers go up. So that just kind of mirrors what we saw with the positive test rate the last week or two. Have shown an increase, and that mirrors most of the rest of the country, unfortunately. That's about all we can really talk about with anything to show any drastic improvement or degradation over the past 3 months for Arizona. I mean, their death rates have come down quite a bit. They're up around 170 deaths back on July 30th, but they've steadily come down to where they're averaging now between 10 and 20 deaths a day. So that's pretty remarkable. They've done a really good job. But these recent trends over the last 2 weeks are something to watch out for. The next state we'll look at is New Mexico. New Mexico has kind of gone in a different direction. They recently had a record case date on October 16th, I think that was Friday, of 812 new cases. We look at those cases, that's the highest rate that they've had. I mean, they've never had a rate that high, but you can see where the cases drop below R1, middle of August, all the way through the end of, pretty much till the end of September. And once again, the alarming increase started around October 1st, thereabouts, leading to this record number of cases on October 15th. If we look at the 30-day, 31 to 60, 61 to 90-day quadrants, you can see the cases dropped, and then now they've basically exploded over the last 30 days. Their deaths have gone down. I mean, that might be a lag, though, because of the recent increase in cases. This might go up in the near future. But they're testing about, looks like about under 7,000 people per day currently, which is, I think that's pretty adequate. If we look, they're pretty much where they should be. They've started to step up the testing lately because of all the cases they've had. Maybe that's why they're showing more cases, but I'm not sure whether the cart or the horse come first in that. Test rate has gone up quite a bit the last month. Death rate has gone down because we can see the deaths are down but the cases are up, so that's a product of these two numbers. Their 14-day trailing average positive test rate, though, pretty much was under 5 for the duration of the pandemic, and all of a sudden started going up around the third week of September, and it's been an upward trajectory ever since, crossing above 5% on October 13th, and it's continuing to go up. So that's not a good sign, not a good trend whatsoever. So unlike Arizona, New Mexico is going in the opposite direction. Next state to look at is Oklahoma. Oklahoma hasn't had any record case or death dates recently. The number of cases, though, have risen over the past 30 days significantly. Their deaths have pretty much stayed the same. Their testing has gone up quite a bit. Looks like they're testing about 13,000 people a day. I mean, that's pretty good. They're testing at a rate that they should be, or a little higher. Their positive test rate, though, really hasn't gone anywhere. It was up to 9.16%, and it's pretty much in that range where it's currently between the 31 to 60 day and 61 to 90 day quadrant, so it's really not going anywhere. Death rate has gone down slightly. Let's take a look at the trailing average 14-day positive test rate. You can see that it's slowly increasing. The valleys are becoming higher. So that's not a good trend. And you can see that they pretty much have never been below 5% over the past 90 days. If we look at their cases, they have not been below the R1 line for that state since the end of August, last third week of August actually. So that's not a good look for Oklahoma. Let's see, their daily deaths pretty much stay the same, in the same range. There's no real increase or decrease as we go. Their testing. No, this is a state that doesn't test every day. I mean, there's been a number of days where they don't test, and then they report a high number of tests. Really, their actual test rate is right around the 10,000 line, slightly above maybe the last month or so, so that's good. But they're really not improving. In fact, if anything, they're getting slightly worse. So Oklahoma needs to improve. Our final state in Southwest is Texas. Texas actually holds the record for the most cases in a day, 18,398. Most people believe it's Florida, which reported a little over 15,000, I think 15,300 on July 15th maybe. Well, Texas reported about 12,000 2 days later, but their end of day total on that day minus end of day total from previous day was actually about 18,000. There have been a number of days where Texas has underreported their cases for a day, but when you look at the previous day total and subtract that from the end of the current day total, the numbers have been higher. That's happened on more than 10 days in the past 4 months, at least 10 days. If we look at their cases over the last 90 days, yep, here's the spike on August 22nd. We don't show September 17th. It just fell off the graph back here. But that was around 18,000 as well. But this is the new record, and it's the national record as well. I think they underreported because they didn't want to report records. They didn't want to steal the spotlight from Florida, and it's not a record that you want. And I've caught other states underreporting new records for their states as well. But that's for another time. I could put something together that shows all of that in another video. But just know that Texas actually holds the record for one day back on September 22nd, 18,398. When we look at their 30-day, 31 to 60-day, 61 to 90-day quadrants, their cases went down, and then they've started to go up again. Their deaths have steadily gone down, which is a good thing. Their tests have gone up tremendously. They really have stepped up their testing. But it's a state with 29 million people. So even at that number, that's really not adequate for the size of the state that they have. I mean, it shows it here that it is, and maybe it is enough, but it's right around it. This is kind of close to where they should be, and they were woefully inadequate back here. Let's just put it that way. As far as positive test rate, their test rate was very, very high, and it still was high 30 to 60 days ago, and it's come down. Still not anywhere where it needs to be. Their death rate is the lowest this past 30 days. Let's look at their 14-day trailing average positive test rate. It's kind of jumped around in the past month or so, but you can see they were between 10 and 20%, actually between 12 and 17% for quite a while. dropped down to 8%, spiked up to 20, 22%, September 21st, and then they dropped, and they're sitting right around 7% right now, but they're going slightly north of where they were. Not drastically like you've seen some states recently. So it's not good where they are, but they're not climbing drastically either. So let's see, what else can we look at that might give us a better picture of things. We looked at the cases. Cases are still hovering over the R1 line, so they're not really going to get down below 5% until this gets down below here. Looks like over the last 45 days they're averaging probably 4,000 to 5,000 cases a day. They really need to be under about 2,900, 2,800 looks like. So they're not where they need to be. Their daily deaths, they've had a couple of spikes in deaths. Yeah, 700 in one day, 800 plus another day. That was August 21st. Texas really needs to improve. So basically all the states in the Southwest are not in a good place, though Arizona is heading in the right direction. The other three are questionable, being Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma. That's the end of this video for COVID-related data and trends for the date ending October 19th, 2020. Thank you.